Welcome to the March 17th Emergency City Council meeting. I am Gwen Scanlon, the City Clerk. With me here tonight is Jennifer Hansen, the City Manager, who will be moderating the meeting. Also attending are Sean Tillman, our Economic Development Manager, Jennifer Brown, our IT Manager, Ray Leftwich, our Public Works Director, Steve Prosser, our Community Development Director, and Doug Lee, our Public Safety Chief. The City Council is joining us via teleconference per the March 12th executive order from Governor Newsom, which suspended certain requirements of the Ralph M. Brown Act. Additionally, members of the public were encouraged to participate remotely via watching the live stream posted on the city's website or Channel 18. Unfortunately, we're not able to do either of those due to audio feedback, but we will be posting the audio as well as the PowerPoint as soon as this meeting completes. Additionally, we had asked the public to send their comments via email or voicemail to me, the City Clerk, and I would read those comments aloud at the appropriate time. Members attending the meeting in person will also be given the opportunity to speak when invited by the City Manager. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Carl Skint to call the meeting to order.
Gwen, this is Christine Mollenkoff. I'm the City Attorney. I'm just letting you know I'm also available via voicemail.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. I'm calling the special City Council meeting of March 17th, 2020 to order. The meeting is conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's executive order dated March 12th, which suspends certain requirements of the Ralph M. Brown Act. Gwen, would you please read the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Andriotta.
Here.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Here.
Councilmember Joyner. He just was in the room and exited, so hopefully he will be able to join us momentarily on the line. I'll check back. Councilmember Silhai.
Here.
And Mayor Carl Skint.
Here. So we have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is 2, public comment. Are there any members of the public in the City Hall that wish to speak at this time?
So we have one member of the public.
Are you wanting to make a public comment?
No, thank you.
So we can move on, Mayor.
No public comment.
Yes. How about public comment that was sent electronically?
None.
None, okay. Then we will go to the next, I'll close public comment. We go to the next item, which is emergency reports. 3A, item 3A is to adopt resolution 2020-52, ratifying the proclamation of local emergency in the city of Lincoln. I'd like to turn it over to the City Manager to provide the staff report.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. This is Jennifer Hansen. I am the City Manager. The item before the Council this afternoon is to request ratification of an emergency proclamation that I issued on behalf of the city today, March 17th, 2020. The emergency proclamation allows the city to provide continued support in response to the current emergency that's been declared by the state as well as the county regarding the community spread of the coronavirus, or otherwise known as COVID-19. The proclamation provides for additional authorization and powers more than normally provided by the municipal code. And per the municipal code, In order to continue with the proclamation, City Council is required to ratify the proclamation within 7 days after I implemented or authorized the proclamation. Since the proclamation was completed today, we are well within the 7-day time period afforded by the municipal code. These authorities are granted to the city manager within the Lincoln Municipal Code, Chapter 2.36, and it also designates the city manager as the disaster administrator during the time. As the council is well aware, the situation that's facing the city has been changing on a very, very rapid pace. Currently, the entire United States has been experiencing a high level of transmission of the COVID virus. This is extremely alarming to health professionals throughout the state, the country, and in fact the world, due to the high mortality rate that is associated with the virus. The virus has been tending to have a disproportionately high mortality rate with older individuals, those that are 65 and older. As such, it is an extreme concern to the city of Lincoln due to our high concentration of residents that are 65 and older. The strategy for addressing the virus within the state and specifically within Placer County has been modified in the last few days from a containment strategy to a community mitigation strategy. And what this essentially refers to is the fact that it is no longer thought that the spread of the virus is only related to those who have come into contact with people who have traveled internationally or on one of the cruise ships that have been in international waters that experienced a high level of outbreak, but it is now being spread amongst the community through regular community transmission. This occurs through droplet spread, so this can occur at anywhere at any time. On March 3rd, 2020, Placer County declared a public health emergency. On March 4th, 2020, the state of California declared a state of emergency. And now I'm going to briefly review the requested authorization that staff is now requesting. And all of the items that we are requesting, they are intended to be implemented only during the duration of the emergency as declared by the state of California. And they will also only be utilized on a limited basis to address COVID virus responses. We are requesting authorization to reduce staffing levels as necessary. This is to comply with the state's order to increase social distancing amongst all residents and all people within the state, as well as to ensure that we are able to provide essential services at all times. We are requesting authorization to compensate staff that are sent home with paid administrative leave if they are not able to complete a full 8 hours of work due to their teleworking requirements or as related to their specific job duties. In the city of Lincoln, we are, in this particular situation, due to our very extremely low staffing levels, we will have very, very little staff that is not actually telecommuting at this point. It is only those staff that are non-essential workers. What should also be noted is per the municipal code, all staff within the city, we are designated as disaster workers, which means we can be called upon at any time to provide disaster mitigation related services. So we do need those staff available and ready to work if needed to complete additional tasks. We're also requesting to suspend water shutoffs as necessary. This is in relation to the fact that many of our residents will be experiencing financial hardships, and we do not feel that it is a cost benefit to continue to complete water shutoffs during this time period. This is also consistent with direction that has been told by the governor's office. We have requested to waive all late fees as necessary, only as related to the current emergency situation, and this is related to both utility bills as well as library fees. We are requesting authorization to order the closure of facilities, services, and buildings as necessary. The county currently is not under a shelter-in-place order, but as the council is aware, the requirements from both the state and county level have been changing on an ongoing basis, and staff does require the flexibility to act immediately to implement any of those new requirements. We are requesting authorization to enter into contracts for the purchase of supplies, services, and equipment that we need to assist in preparing, containing to, responding, and mitigating the effects and recovering from the spread of the virus. And this includes contracts that are in greater value than the authorization currently provided by the municipal code. This is specifically important for the city of Lincoln due to our extremely low public safety service levels, as well as our service levels and staffing levels within our other essential service departments, due to the fact that if we do have large amount of staff absences due to illness, we will need to rely on outside contractors to continue to provide essential services. We are requesting authorization to suspend as necessary all competitive bidding procedures for all contracts for the purchase of supplies, professional services, equipment, as well as this is also as it relates to responding and recovering to the emergency. We are requesting authorization to suspend city services as needed, programs including applicable deadlines as necessary, to suspend and reschedule, if needed, city council meetings. And it should be noted, as of right now, staff is not recommending that we suspend city council meetings. We do feel that with the relaxed guidelines that are afforded to us by the governor's directive as they relate to the Brown Act, that we will still be able to have a fully functioning city council. But in the event that that changes, we do need the flexibility to suspend or reschedule those meetings as needed. We are requesting the flexibility to cancel boards, commissions, and committees as needed to address this situation. Many of our committees are composed of elderly folks, and they really shouldn't be coming to large community meetings right now. Uh-oh, choking. Viral cough. And we are also requesting authorization to issue any order or regulation necessary to enforce both state as well as county directives and requirements. And this is as it relates to providing for the protection of life and property, as well as be able to provide essential services for the city. I will now go on to briefly explain some of the other actions that the city has taken at this time, as well as where we're at with our central services. And then from there, we will go one by one through the city council to respond to questions. We'll take public comment, and then we'll go back to individual council deliberations. City staff has been working very diligently to come up with comprehensive planning efforts for our community. We are very well aware that we have a very high population and concentration of seniors within the city, as well as lower income people. And due to that, we have been doing a massive outreach effort with all of the local food banks and pantries to ensure they are still able to provide services as they have been. We do anticipate the need for food bank participation to increase as this emergency continues. We have been coordinating with all local restaurants in order to ensure that they are well aware of the new requests and requirements coming from the governor, as well as to provide them with assistance on understanding what the new rules and requests are. We have been coordinating with local religious and service groups to form a volunteer roster. Maybe many of the food banks and senior services that many of our residents rely on just for their daily sustainability are staffed and by volunteers who are over the age of 65. So we have been reaching out to service groups as well as religious groups and have gotten a roster together of volunteers. And in fact, we have been able to already use that roster of volunteers. So that has been a really great thing to see in our community. We have developed a staff shortage emergency contingency plan. It is still being tweaked. Essentially what the plan does is based off of different thresholds of staffing shortages. We have specific plans that will be implemented at that time. For example, if we lose a specific percentage of firefighters, we would then start closing down a fire station so that we could still provide the greatest level of service as possible. The dates effective of these requirements would be today, and it would end when the state or federal emergency is over. As of today, well, let me back up for 1 second. For a logistics standpoint, we are tracking all response expenses separately. This is in the preparation for being able to receive reimbursement for emergency services costs. And we have also already implemented minimum staffing levels in essential services, and this is to implement both the county as well as the state and the federal requests to increase social distancing and not to have people, more than 10 people together at one time. Essential services for police, we are still and will be responding to all calls. We are also taking online crime reporting as operational and is a great option for reporting crimes. We are not providing live scan services at this point, and we are no longer doing golf cart registration at this point. It's temporarily suspended. Fire is responding to all calls. Public Works, garbage is being picked up on a regular schedule. There will be absolutely no interruption of water service, and that is also a great message we can all jointly get out to the public, is that the city's tap water is very, very safe. There is absolutely no need to purchase bottled water or to hoard bottled water. There will be no interruption in sewer service. We are asking people to be mindful about not flushable wipes down the toilet. They do wreak havoc on our sewer system. The airport is still open and will remain open until we receive further direction from the FAA. Parks are open for now, however, it should be noted that playgrounds are not sanitized. We are having some theft of toilet paper from our park system, so we'll continue to monitor the park bathrooms, and we will not close them until it is absolutely necessary. All recreation programs, sports, and classes are canceled or postponed through April 12th, which is consistent with the school district. All facility and field rentals are canceled through April 12th. The community center is closed, and the spring break kids camp is canceled. At the request of a city council member, I have spoken with the school district to inquire regarding their intent to provide childcare services to first responders or medical professionals who are not able to have their children in school right now, and they are still looking into that inquiry, so I will definitely report back if I receive any additional information. The library is closed. All library room rentals are canceled, and late fees related to the closure will be waived. The recreation and library staff, they are filling in on more of what I refer to as the social services, assisting us with assisting the nonprofits related to food bank operations, as well as providing outreach to the restaurant and business community. We've also been in contact with all of the grocery stores and are trying to make sure that we are diligently working with them for planning. At this point, there never will be any need at all to hoard any supplies, whether it be toilet paper, chicken, eggs, water, or anything else. I have personally spoken with the grocery store operators, and the production supply isn't the issue. It's people buying more than they need. So we really need to consistently get that message out. And then the utility billing counter will be open daily from 9 a.m. till noon. This will, Monday through Friday. This will remain in effect as long as we don't receive any additional directives from the county or from the state. But people may always make online payments or place their payments in the payment box located in the City Hall lobby or parking lot. For development permits, the development services and permit counter will also be open those same hours from 9 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday. Over-the-counter permits, these are water heaters and some of those smaller type of permits that you pull on a daily basis will be issued the next day. And other development services will still be available by telephone. Those staff are telecommuting and still processing plans. Although building of homes that are already under construction will continue, staff is recommending that we do not allow the initiation of any new development which is not started. So any large infrastructure projects, our fear is that we could have a large water main break or other issues related to the building. We will not have the staff to handle it at this time. It is important to note that these essential services could have the potential, very likely have the potential to be modified on a very quickly basis, and that was one of the primary purposes for the proclamation, is to afford staff the flexibility to be able to quickly react to any new requirements that come out from the governor or from the county health department. would like to remind everybody that the Placer County Department of Health and Human Services is the lead agency related to this virus response, as they do have the county health official, and they are a great source of information. We do recommend all of our residents continually check their websites. And we will also continue to share the latest information. We share it via social media, through the Nextdoor app, as well as through our city e-bulletin. We are trying to increase our reach with our city e-bulletin, so we're going to continue to send that information out. And at this time, I will go through council by council member to make sure to allow for any questions or comments to be made. Then we will go to public comment, and then lastly, we will go back through city council for deliberation. So at this time, I will start with any comments from council member Joyner.
All right, Jennifer, can you hear me?
I sure can. Perfect.
Hello. Okay. So I guess the first thing is I think this is an appropriate and timely step to take, but the public might be wondering about the apparent redundant nature of this, given that there is already a state declaration of emergency. Perhaps you could go over some of the benefits to the city with respect to recovering of costs and such as a result of this declaration.
Definitely. There's great benefit to having our own declaration. Oftentimes in large disasters such as this, there will be reimbursement afforded by the federal government. Oftentimes, in order to receive that federal reimbursement, you do need to have a declaration of or proclamation of emergency. The other benefit is that it does afford staff some authorizations and powers outside of our normal powers to allow us to react in a very timely manner. As the council is aware, what we know has been changing on about 2 or 3 times per day, and the restrictions have been getting stricter and stricter. And so those are the 2 primary benefits.
Thank you. With respect to the state of emergency, you'd mentioned that if we lose some staffing, especially at fire, we may have to close some of the firehouses. Now, the last time we declared a state of emergency was during the tanker fire, and we were able to tap into county and even statewide firefighting resources as a result of that declaration of emergency. Would we be able to do the same here and keep those fire stations open?
We would to a limited extent. Unfortunately, when you have a disaster of this wide scale, every neighboring agency that we typically get mutual aid from is also under very constrained resources. We have already reached out to our neighbors as well as the county to remind them of our very severe levels. I don't anticipate that we would be able to staff an entire fire station, but we would still receive mutual aid as it is available, specifically for any large fires. For medical responses...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for medical responses, we do have aid that is provided by AMR, the medical service, and that will continue as it is regularly scheduled at this point.
Okay. So I was thinking more in terms of perhaps CAL FIRE. During the tanker fire, one of the things that we learned was that Beale Air Force Base had fire personnel ready and willing to assist, but they actually have to be asked. They cannot volunteer their aid, so that might be another option that we could reach out and see if we get to that point, if we can't get some assistance from either CAL FIRE or Beale.
Okay, will do.
So with respect to the expansion of your signing authority, it's a pretty large expansion of that authority. I understand it. I think it's probably appropriate. What are you thinking in terms of reporting the instances of those large expenditures to the council in a timely manner?
I would likely do it right when I enacted it.
Okay. And with respect to, do you have a methodology in mind for tracking our expenses that are a direct result of this state of emergency? And I'm not even sure where we would do this, whether it's in the warrants or where it might be, somehow tagging those expenditures so that they're visible as a pullout so that we know what what is state of emergency related and what is not?
We have set up a specific 4-digit account code, so we will be able to track all expenses, whether it be
Okay.
materials and supplies, salaries, professional services, anything.
Okay. So you'll let us all know what that code is, and it'll appear in reporting along the way?
It's COVD. Yeah, we'll pull it out. We'll be able to run a comprehensive report.
Got it. Thank you. And the last one you kind of answered, it's really the duration of the state of emergency. You said that it would run parallel to both the state and the federal. So is it, kind of last man standing, if the state withdraws theirs and the federal is still in place, or vice versa? Ours would remain in place, or is it tied directly to the state declaration of emergency?
We were looking at the more, as you stated, the last man standing. However, it should be noted, we will still be having regular city council meetings, and the city council could direct me during any one of those meetings
Right.
to come back and in the emergency.
Okay. All right. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Councilmember Andreotta.
Hi. Councilmember Joyner asked most of my questions. I did want to know, you were talking about in the possibility of losing staff to sickness. I was wondering, have we experienced many staff that are sick right now?
We do have some staff that are sick with the lack of testing. We don't really have any concept at all what the illness is. It could just be a routine cold, routine flu. I am personally aware of 2 people that are out with fevers and colds. Any staff that are sick, we've asked them to leave the building.
Right. Okay. I think that's the only question I really had. Like I said, Councilmember Joyner asked most of my questions. Are you guys getting any complaints or pushbacks at City Hall with all this going on?
Very minor, I would say. I would say the vast majority of people have been very appreciative of the position that the city has taken and the mitigation efforts we have put into place so far. Of course, there are, a handful of people who don't necessarily believe in the virus. I think we'll always kind of face those issues. But other than that, we haven't been receiving a lot of complaints.
Okay, good. All right. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Councilmember Silhai?
No, I am on board with this. I think that we're doing what we need to do to make sure that we're able to pre-position our staff and our assets and our community to be able to meet whatever is coming down the pipeline. It is such a fluid situation. It seems like it's changing hourly. The guidelines are changing daily. We certainly can't be rigid and have us in a place where we're not able to respond quickly and move with it when something comes down from the governor or situations change very quickly in town, which is what happens. It seems like things are okay, and then all of a sudden the numbers escalate very quickly. So if that were to happen here, we need to be able to do everything that you are getting us ready to do. So thank you.
Perfect. We appreciate the support. Councilmember Gilbert?
I think you pretty much covered any concerns that I have, and I'd like to compliment you and the staff on a very thorough plan. As my colleague has just said, we don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, but I think this puts us in a pretty good position, and it gives the staff some authority that heretofore you did not have. And to support what Councilman Joyner said, I think it's important that if some events happen outside the authority, or even because of the authority, if it's significant, we should know about that as soon as possible, because our neighbors and friends are going to be asking us questions, and I think it's better if we're prepared with the right answers. But I'm prepared to support your plan 100%.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilmember Gilbert. And Mayor Carlskin.
I'm supportive also. I did, as a result of Councilman Joyner's questions and maybe Councilman Andreatta's, are we going to be able to differentiate? Yet, as you know, am worried about our being able to get refunded all of our emergency expenditures. I know you're tracking administrative leave differently if it's related and as a result of COVID-19. Sick leave, as witnessed or as we just talked, we've had some people out on sick leave, which uses up their sick leave time on just a cold or something that's not at all associated with this. But there is a potential that we have people that will have tested such that it's directly related to the virus, and whether that should be tracked separately for subsequent compensation to the city or not. I'd like you to think about that, whether we could do it and whether it would be. I also agree that the city council will be the people that decide when we terminate this, and I would hope that we would only do it when the last vestige of potential funding has been exhausted. In other words, because there's federal funds separated from the state taking away the state of emergency doesn't necessarily mean that we have to. Those are the only items. I think that you've crafted a flexible enough proclamation that almost everything that I've been able to come up with is somehow handled, that it is flexible enough. There are probably things that I haven't thought of, but I feel very comfortable with the flexibility built into it. So I am ready to support it.
Perfect.
And
Now, Mayor, with your permission, we will go to public comment.
please do.
Thank you, Mayor. We actually did have one electronic comment. I did not mention it because the resident is actually here in attendance, but I did confer with him and he asked me to read that into the record. So his comments, they are from Michael Garabedian. He addresses the comment to the city manager. My observation is that the city council regularly takes bold and aggressive actions, and that the announcement is an example, such as all city departments shall review and revise their department emergency and contingency plans to address the risks of COVID-19 poses to their critical functions. He continues, this does so without meaningful and necessary opportunity for the public to be fully informed and for the public to comment, including in the context of the verbal prohibition on the public from handing out documents to the city council at its meetings, which is not that I know of a policy that was proposed and adopted with public input. This part of the announcement accurately reflects that it is common for Lincoln to seem regularly to only comply with the minimum required by law, and that what the minimum required is can require that the public point out to the council what the law does require. The city manager further proclaims and orders that during the existence of said local emergency, The powers, functions, and duties of the emergency organization of the city shall be as prescribed by federal and state law and by city ordinances and resolutions of this city. He continues, doing the minimum required by law as the city does for some exercises of discretion, but not others, can often not be good governance. Most troubling about the announcement overall is that there is no mention in it of a commitment to inform the public about any of the pending activities and actions described between the announcement and March 24th. It is also of note that the announcement does not cite your or any authority for making this proclamation. The 1:40 p.m. announcement today does not mention the city council meeting planned for today at 4 p.m. Instead, the announcement says that the city council cannot be immediately called into session. That concludes Mr. Garabedian's comments.
Mayor, would you like staff to provide any response to those comments?
Well, are there any other public comments first?
No. There's no other public
Yeah.
here.
If staff would like to respond.
The authority for proclaiming an emergency proclamation is afforded by the municipal code, and that was referenced in the original proclamation as well as in the resolution ratifying the proclamation. So when there's an entire section to the municipal code related to emergency disaster response. As far as reporting out on any authorities or actions that we take underneath the emergency proclamation, those would naturally be reported, specifically purchasing or otherwise, out through our normal reports to the city council, which consist of the warrant report as well as the contract report. And in addition, we have also been providing all information we can to not only to the public and our residents. We've been doing this through social media on our website, as well as we've been routinely updating city council. There could likely be some actions we would take in terms of public safety that we would not broadcast to the city, from the standpoint that it could put our officers or our staff at risk.
And this is Christine Mollenkoff, City Attorney. I would like to add that our municipal code is also consistent with the government code, which provides for the specific circumstances and noticing that are required under emergency acts, and that this is an appropriate action.
There is no further public comment. I will now go back to the council for any further deliberation. Upon completion of any further deliberation, we will then request the mayor to call for or request for a motion. Councilmember Joyner?
I have nothing further.
Councilmember Andreatta?
The only thing I want to say is just to echo my colleague's sentiments that I think this is a really good plan, and I'm really happy that we are still paying employees who have to be home. I think that's a really good move. And I just want to ask, when we're all done with this, would it be possible well, actually, let me ask you, when we got the agenda for today, was this slide deck included in the email? Because I didn't see it.
No,
I just may not have looked.
it was not. We can send it out.
Yeah, would you email that to me? I would really like that, please.
It'll also be
Other
posted.
than that, I'm in full support. Thank you very much.
I was just going to say that as soon as this meeting completes, I'm going to hopefully upload the audio and include this PowerPoint on our agendas and minutes page.
Great. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Silhai?
Yep, I am good. Thank you.
Councilmember Gilbert?
No, I'm very supportive of the plan as submitted.
Mayor Carlskamp?
I have no further comments other than my original comment of support. So I guess I'll now ask if someone would like to make the motion. Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2020-52, ratifying the proclamation of a local emergency in the city of Lincoln, and specifically grant authority to the city manager as spelled out in her report. I'll ask the city attorney, is it necessary for me to read all of the detail?
No, I think you can just move for adoption of the resolution and its number.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
But we will need to take a voice vote.
Yes, and I would like to, I think the resolution number should have been 53.
Sorry, roll call vote.
Roll call, right.
I'm sorry, did council hear that? The number should have been 53. I apologize. I had it incorrect on the agenda. So,
I'll accept that change to the motion.
thank you. So, Councilmember Gilbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Andriotta, yes, I received your second that you are in favor of the number changed.
Sorry. Yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Joyner,
Yes.
Councilmember Silhai,
Yes.
Mayor Carlskin.
Yes.
I would just like to express my appreciation to the council for your support during this time. We do have an amazing dedicated staff, and I am fully confident they're up for this task, and we will take care of the city and our residents as best we can.
If
Great,
that's
thank you.
the case, go to item 4, adjournment.
So moved.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.